The Little Mermaid. Far out in the ocean, there stands a beautiful castle of the Sea King. The Sea King has 6 princesses who have no feet, and their body ends in a fish's tail. And the youngest princess among them is the Little Mermaid. She is very pretty and clever, and has the most wonderful voice in the world. Her singing is like sound in heaven. The happiest thing for the Little Mermaid is to listen to her old grandmother tell her stories about the humans' world. The old grandmother is very wise and knows everything. From her, the Little Mermaid knows about the human soul, human's love, human's legs to walk on. She is full of curiosity about everything about human. One day, the Little Mermaid was sitting on a rock, watching the sun setting. All of a sudden, she heard beautiful music from the sea. A large ship was approaching, with lighted lanterns and noisy crowds on board. The sailors were dancing merrily on the deck, and today was the prince's birthday, and people were celebrating it in a dinner. The prince was so handsome and brilliant, and the Little Mermaid couldn't help falling in love with him. Suddenly it was getting dark, and a dreadful storm was approaching. The large ship was turned over under the shakes of the big waves. The princess fell into the water too. He tried hard to swim, but gradually he lost his power of swimming and sank into the deep waves. The Little Mermaid swam over quickly and held his head over the water and brought him to the shore. The prince didn't die. He just lost his consciousness. In happiness, the Little Mermaid sang a song. The prince got awoke by the wonderful sound. He opened his eyes and saw a beautiful girl in vague. After a while, he found the girl gone.
A girl saved me, and she had the sweetest sound,
said the prince. All this was seen by a sea witch, so she came up with a bad idea. The sea witch found the Little Mermaid and said, "I could help you to possess legs as a human being. In this way, you could live with the prince forever. But if the prince is married to someone else, then you will become my slave. In return, you shall give your sweet voice to me." In order to live with the prince forever, the Little Mermaid agreed with the witch. Then the sea witch played her magic trick and drew the Little Mermaid's voice into a conch before her chest. Then the Little Mermaid fell down in pain after drinking the witch's draught. When she woke up, she found her fish's tail turn into legs as human beings. and the prince was holding her hands, watching her with care. The little mermaid was very excited, but she could not speak any word. She pointed out to her throat anxiously.
Couldn't you speak? Although you look like the girl who saved me, but she can sing very beautifully.
The prince was a bit disappointed, but he was very nice and felt the little mermaid a poor girl. Then he kept her in his place. Days passed by. They were together every day, riding horses, climbing mountains, and playing. The beauty and kindness of the little mermaid moved the prince deeply, and he almost fell in love with her. But he could not at all forget the girl who saved him from the water. The sea witch was afraid that the princess would fall in love with the little mermaid, and she played her magic and became a beautiful girl. She sang to the prince the song when the little mermaid saved him that day. The prince was overjoyed and thought he found the girl he's been missing, and he decided to marry her at once. The little mermaid got very anxious. How she would like to tell the prince that she is the one who saved him, while that girl is the sea witch. But she could not speak any word. The wedding was held in a large ship. The little mermaid got heartbroken, looking at the prince, smiling happy. At this moment, the ship was shaking very heavily, and there was a mess on deck. It turned out that the little mermaid's sisters came to help the little mermaid right after they heard about this. It was too shaky for the sea witch to stand steadily, and fell down onto the deck hardly, and the conch on her chest was broken into pieces. A golden light flied out of it, with singings around the little mermaid. And there came the miracle. The little mermaid can speak now. Eventually, the prince found out that the little mermaid was the girl who saved him. The sea witch got so angry that she changed back to her horrible form. She stirred the sea with the scepter in her hand. Even the ships, which were wrecked into the deep sea years ago, got turned to the sea surface. The ship sank down, and the prince and the little mermaid both fell into the water and got separated by waves. The prince caught a shipwreck in the waves and then jumped onto the ship. The sea witch held her scepter highly and threw it into the little mermaid. While the prince was sailing the ship bravely towards the sea witch. At this moment, the mast of the shipwreck fell and stabbed into her heart fair and square. With a loud scream, the sea witch struggled a few times and died. Then the sea recovered with its calmness and tranquility. The little mermaid and the prince held each other closely. Several days later, the prince and the little mermaid held a magnificent wedding. Then they lived happily together.